gotta hurry up because my battery is low, but the thought hit me. I actually had something to say today. I try to be silent when there's nothing to say. There's nothing more aggravating than people who talk just to be talking. That shit gets on my nerves. I don't know about you, but it gets on my fucking nerves. Well, yesterday I said, you know what my next video is gonna be? I'm gonna talk about my sex life. I mean, people may be curious. They want to know, hey, what's going on with Sean? Let's talk about my sex life. Video over. Stop recording. That's it. It's non-existent. So, um, that's the end of that. If sex sells, you might want to check out now. If anybody remembers the movie Deep Cover, yeah, I think it was LL Cool J. Well, I'm pretty sure it was. Ain't no think. It was LL Cool J. I loved that movie at the time it came out. Like, to me, there was no other movie at the time because, I was in that era. A thought came to me. I was in a church. If any of you know, I grew up not in a traditional church, but I grew up in a very religious setting. And my grandma beat the Bible into me, maybe in a different translation than the King James Version, but I can quote Bible verses off the top of my head, just rattle them off. I know all the stories, but there were meanings that you could pull out of the wording, or you could go back and find the Greek and Hebrew words that were translated to get these stories or sayings, laws, whatever that are in the Christian Bible. Pull out a whole different meaning. Like one word can change the meaning of everything. So if you mistranslate one word or if you intentionally replace one word with another one, you could change the whole meaning. So I have a Bible verse tattooed on my arm here. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So now I've learned. Let me back it up. So in this phase, I was going through like one of my darkest periods of time. And during this time, I was visiting like a lot of different churches. I don't know if I had a problem with commitment, but I feel like I wanted to learn all kind of different perspectives. I was so into everyone's knowledge that I just visited church after church after church. So this one old preacher, I don't know his name, I don't know what church it was, so I can't give proper credit, but I can tell you it's not my quote. He was speaking to us one day and he said, let me ask you a question. Um, I'm going to translate in my own interpretation. You and your friends are hanging out, or you and your coworkers, or you or whoever, you're hanging out, and these men walk up. Could be women, we're not going to discriminate. So these people walk up and they say, hey, say you don't believe in Jesus or I'll blow your fucking head off. And so the person next to you says, nah, I can't do that. Boom, blow your head off. So then they go to the next person and they say you don't believe in Jesus or I'll blow your fucking head off. Boom, drop the next person. So you already have a pretty good understanding that these people are for real. So you're next. They come up to you, say you don't believe in Jesus or I'll blow your fucking head off. What would you do? I'm OG, real, keep it real, Um, shit, I ain't selling out for nobody. He said, why not? He said, now this is in a biblical sense or if it's historical, I don't know. But what he said was, if you feel like you let me see how to word this. If you feel like, oh, I ain't selling out, you know, and you die, how does that serve a purpose? How does that help what service does that do to the world? A lot of martyrs died. You don't know who they are. They didn't accomplish anything. They died. You say, oh yeah, they were strong in their faith. They died for their faith. Okay. But what did they accomplish? He said, Peter, and this is from the Bible perspective, Jesus told Peter, said, before the night is over, you will deny me 3 times. Before the rooster crows, you'll deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, oh no, not me. I love you. I love you to death. but it came to pass in the sense of the Bible. So he said, but Peter went on to start all kind of churches. Peter was like known as the foundation of the church. So this is all in a religious and biblical sense. Let's go back to the movie Deep Cover. I don't remember much of it. I just remember the premise and the emotional response that it brings if you understand what's going on. To some people, if you've never lived in that type of environment, you're not going to get an emotional response. I mean, when I was writing my first script in a class, my professor ripped my script apart. He was like, "This is not believable. This isn't real. No, this is no. You need to do this. This." I was frustrated, but I held it in because I respect your opinion. Finally, one day, that laugh, that if you know me, that laugh, and he said, "What is it? You mean to tell me this is true?" I said, "Everything but one thing. I mean, not one person. This is not even really autobiographical. It's just a collection of observations, and there's only one what if that changes to make the rest of it fictional. Most of it really happened." And he couldn't believe that. He was like, "I don't understand why this, why that." And I give him the motivation of the character. I'll just give you one example. In a choice that a character made, he said, "Well, why wouldn't she just be a prostitute?" um, I guess this is a natural response to someone who's never known poverty and feels like that's what female characters would do in a poverty situation. But that's not always the case, because in real life, poor women don't always choose to be prostitutes, which that doesn't have any bearing on the topic, but just throwing that out there. Oh, I still got plenty battery, so I'm good. So I don't know where I was. I'll edit this out, all the parts that I forget, because I hate watching videos. Watch somebody remember the train of thought. Oh, okay, the movie Deep Cover. Like, I really wanted to be a detective at one time, but that's a tough choice. Everybody is good and bad. If you're going in to take down the bad guys, you're also taking down the good in them, and you don't get to see the good in them, or you don't get to know the good in them until you get close to them. So once you get close to them, your job to take them down is a tough choice. And also, environment. We've talked about environment in a personal sense, but in a broader sense, environment, you become part of your environment. I read somewhere, and I'm maybe misquoting for those who don't know anything about it, it's close enough. There was an experiment where they took a small number of what we would call sane, but I would say people who were not mentally disturbed, and put them in an institution setting with a larger number of people who did have mental issues. After a period of time, so I'm going to give an example. Let's say if we took 5 people with no known mental issues, and we put them in a institutionalized setting with 15 people who were mentally disabled, and left them there for 5 months. So 5 people, 15 people in 5 months. That's just an example. This could be wrong. And you leave them there that period of time. After 3 months, you're going to start to see these people take on characteristics, and they're going to start communicating in ways that the mentally disturbed people communicate, and they're going to take on some of the same behaviors. If you can recreate that, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had to cut that experiment short. If that is possible in a clinical setting, that's been proven to kind of be the case, then what do you think will happen out here with people unaware of what they're going into? These people knew that they were part of an experiment. I think you can't just institutionalize sane people, and I don't mean sane in a bad way toward anyone mentally challenged. I mean, because who knows if they're right and we're wrong. They could be right and we're completely wrong. We think we're sane. But just saying, if you put people who behave what we consider to be the same as everybody else, let's say you put someone who behaves. That's a good question. What really is mentally disabled? What is mentally challenged? I kind of think they're a little bit more spiritually in tune. Like maybe they're spiritually in tune to something else that we're not. That may be why they're overwhelmed with things they don't know how to handle, and we don't know what they're trying to handle either. So we just treat them. I don't know. I think that all people are sane except for the ones that are empty, like serial killers. That's some shit on another level. Like y'all, if there's any human beings that don't have a soul, serial killers don't have a soul. They're just human beings walking around mimicking the rest of the human beings. They're soulless people who mimic people with souls, and they'll tell you, "I have no emotion." Watch the Ted Bundy's Files special on Netflix. Ted Bundy says himself, "I feel no emotion." I, I mean, he just pretended. He just knew how to fit in. Whatever urges, he had, he acted upon them. So where an average person would have something in their prefrontal lobe or prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe, whatever I read it, I don't know it. Anyway, whatever it is up here that tells you no, don't do it. They don't have that, but they know to cover it up. They know to hide it. I posted I posted one time on, we all play our own game, basically. And I just watched Ralph Breaks the Internet. So if you take it in a sense that if we're all playing a game, if we're all living a game, and you win, you're in your game. If I haven't won yet, I'm not playing my game. I'm on your board helping you play your game. So you can win using my help. You haven't gotten over. I was just helping you win your game. You may not even have won yet. This may be like one level in a video game sense. I say board because I'm old school, so we had Super Mario and that kind of thing. So I watched Ralph Breaks the Internet, and the little girl, you know, she felt like there was more. She felt like, hey, I like my game, I like my life, but I want to do more. And then she gets a taste of more, and she's like, yeah, this is it. This is the shit right here. This is what I want to do. But she had a hard time leaving behind the people that she cared about, or person that she cared about. And there were other people that she spent every day with that she cared nothing about. She never mentioned the little board players that she left behind, and they were fine. They went on with their life and got adopted and got more well behaved or whatever. The little girl, you don't hear her mention her associates. Only her close friend, and he was too clingy and needy, and there was, in a grown-up sense, if they hadn't been friends, if that had been a relationship outside of a children's context, that happens a lot too. Sometimes people are in relationships and the other person doesn't want the one who is growing to grow. And going back to my non-existent sex life, I don't have anybody to hold me back, and this is probably one of the best times, one of the worst ones in a sense, because there's nothing holding me back from what I am supposed to be doing. The things that I've gone through, I don't have fear. The fear that I had was just of not being good enough. And everybody who knows me knows I love Mary J. Blige, okay? 1990s Mary J. Blige, come on, shut the fuck up, my song is on. Hey son, Mary J. Blige, anything, because it was like whatever I was going through, she had a song that just came out pertaining to the same topic. Everything I was going through, she already went through it right before me. So she was able to make a song to speak to me, to let me know, hey, it's all right, you're okay. When I was in my period of time going to church, someone called her a secular minister. And I like that term. She isn't churchy, but she is speaking to people in a positive manner, making a difference. She made a difference for me through her music. Shout out to Mary J. Blige. But I watched Mary J. Blige accept her award. I saw the clip. She said something that that I really liked. She said, I heard a minister say this before. He said, his quote was, always have the mind of a servant. And that stays in my head. I believe that in order to lead, you have to sometimes humble yourself and be able to do Same thing that you're asking other people to do. And when Mary J. Blige accepted her speech, she said, I'm bad at quotations. This is what my takeaway. I am a queen. That word in itself is enough. Yes, I'm the queen of hip hop, so I'm a queen, but I'm also a servant. I want to thank the people that were there when I had nowhere to go. I want to thank the people that were there when I was at my lowest. I want to thank the people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that spoke to me. Now, at this moment, I'm not anywhere to, I mean, I am, because everything that is already done. So I am somewhere. I just haven't reached that point in this moment. So people are ageless. Only your body grows old, and you learn information as it's meant to be learned. So, you know, a 20-year-old can know more than a 50-year-old. They're, you know, in tune to those things, or if they've experienced the things, or, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Reaching them at different times doesn't make you any more right or wrong. We as a society have an expectation that people are supposed to do this, and this. You got to hit your mark. If you don't hit your mark, you're wrong. Whatever favorite show or movie that you have, the improv scenes are some of the best. So, same with life. Like, you miss out and you won't understand other people around you if that's your purpose. And I think my purpose is to understand people. Let people know that whatever you're going through, it's okay. You'll make it through. That I went through it, and this is what it took for me to go through. I can tell you this is what I was thinking as I was going through. This is how I changed my mind to stop making the same repetitive, I'm not going to say mistakes, but to quit repeating the same cycle. But what I had to learn was to stop downplaying myself, to be self-aware. I'm a very comfortable dresser. I dress down a lot. And then when I go somewhere, I like to dress up. But I don't dress up every day because I don't want that attention drawn to me. Well, and then one day I'm not feeling well, and I'm and I'm in jeans and a t-shirt with no makeup, and everybody's looking like, what the hell's wrong with her? It's because, well, I do like to be comfortable. I really do. I'm a very comfortable person. But I have to stop trying to shy away from attention, especially if I'm seeking an entertainment career in the future. Then I have to accept everything and anything. Now, that's not to say that I'm just going to go rambling on about my business. And I respect everyone next to me as the queen that they are until they prove themselves otherwise. And then I still respect them. I just keep my distance. I'm starting to ramble, and I don't like that. So go back to the deep cover part. It serves you no purpose to shrink and disappear and be average. Now, everybody's not meant to do great things on a global scale. I'm not sure that I am. I'm not sure that I'm not. I have a passport that hasn't been used, and I'm ready to use it. But if I had a chance to be in a play, let's say in France, I don't speak French, but I would go do it because I can. At this point in life, I can do that. And if that play took me to a film, and then that film took me to something else, I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't know that I'm not meant to do things on a global scale. I don't know that I am. But what I do know is your world, however big it is, you're meant to do something in it. If your world is only your family, then you're meant to do something in your family. If your world is in your city, it could be a small town. If you're well known in that small town, make a difference in that small town. If your purpose is in a church, if your purpose is in your workplace, you have to be the one to make a difference. Do that. Your world can be as big or as small as you make it, but don't go hide unless you're trying to collect your thoughts and get to know what your purpose is. But other than that, don't go hide and just say, fuck it, the world is evil and I don't want no part of it, because you're here. This game board, this video game, like the little Wreck-It Ralph game, whatever game you're playing, you still gotta play it. No, you don't get a free pass. You got to play your game. You got to play the game. So that's what I mean about the whole deep cover. Sometimes you might have to go and do some things that stand against your principles in order to make a bigger difference. Like the pastor said, say you don't believe in Jesus. Information is free, but it's too free. So in your heart, um, your relationship with your God, whoever or whatever you believe in. And God sits in the seat of our hearts. So your heart is like protected by a rib cage. It's like deep in your body and it's connected to your brain. As long as God is in your heart or universe or whatever, you feel like the vibrations of the universe beat in your heart or however you believe, as long as you know that you didn't make yourself, uh, you are not an accident. You are here on purpose and you have a purpose. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that's fine, because the journey along the way, all those experiences are going to lead up to where you're supposed to be and teach you um, how to make a difference with the world. However big or small your world is, you've got to make a difference. So if you know in your heart where your loyalty is, that's just okay. Let's say, there's this whole question now with monogamy. So they're asking, is marriage too strict because people are cheating? People get bored, they cheat. Somebody else comes up and is nice to them, and emotionally the other person is not there at the time they need. So is the 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 idea of a marriage, monogamous marriage, is that, does it need to be modified or changed? Now, if you're into the church or tradition or whatever, you're going to say no. If you're in a happy relationship with one person and you don't have those problems, you're going to say no. But let's just say that for the majority of people who cheat, most of the time, and I will say from an ex-wife perspective, I was a young wife. I was very young. And when I look back, and I was blessed to have closure with that situation. A lot of people don't get that chance. But I was very blessed to get closure with that situation. And I learned a lot from the experience. But I would say in the end, looking back, that the cheating itself wasn't what bothered me. What bothered me was the possibility that this person may care more about this other person, or they may start to like this other person more than they do me. That was the problem with cheating. This is my experience. I don't know anybody else's. Everybody stands on their principles, but if you break down all the teachings that you've been taught and just tear down the wall and look at it from the outside in and not from the inside out, take yourself out of the equation. If I took myself out of the equation, what really bothered me was not the cheating itself. Number one, it's what everybody thought about it. Number two, it was, what if they started to care more? That was probably the problem with the cheating. So, with people who cheat, 9 times out of 10, and I don't have any studies on it, I'm not a scientist or sociologist or anything, but I would just say 9 times out of 10, usually their heart is at home. And no matter what you do, if you swing from a chandelier, flip from the ceiling, upside down, inside out, you can cook for them, you can be a gourmet chef, you can go on trips with them, you can do all these things, but their heart is still going to be at home. And you're just fun. You're somebody different. Like, there's all different kinds of people, but everybody's not the one. After a while, people know they've established this relationship that, yeah, this is the one. I mean, they can go do something with somebody else, but their heart is at home. So they're not going to love you more than that person. You're not going to replace them. And I'm not speaking to anybody in specific. I'm just talking about the heart part of it. Wherever your heart lies, that's where your loyalty lies. So you going and doing something else, and I'm not an advocate for cheating because I'm a loyal person, you know. But with cheaters, usually their loyalty lies at home, unless their motives are not pure in the beginning. Somebody marries somebody for money, their cheating is a whole nother, it's a different situation. But somebody who, oh, I love this person, this is who I want to be with, building everything together, you intend to be together the rest of your life, but you meet somebody over here and they're cool and they're nice looking or they're attentive at a time when you and the other person are kind of stagnant. They fill in the gap and they're different. They're a different person. Everybody has their own unique qualities. There's something about that other person they find attractive, if even if it's not on the outside. That doesn't mean that they have any intention of leaving the first person. So it's kind of like they're going deep cover. Like I can go over here and know the good part of this person. I know the bad part. It all goes back to the point that the cheater's heart never left. So they kind of went deep cover with this other person. Like they got to know the good and the bad. But in the end, they still got to do the right thing. They still got to go back home. In their heart, they never left home. So what is the point to that? Whatever your purpose is, pursue it. Make a difference in your world, whatever that world is.